So the big question is this: how are real estate investors who don't have a ton of free time, don't have access to off-market deals, and didn't start life on third base, how do we grow a real estate business conservatively to support our families, finally leave the corporate rat race, and build a legacy? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. I'm Ed Matthews, and this is Real Estate Underground. This is the Real Estate Underground podcast show number 73. Greetings and salutations, Real Estate Undergrounders. It's Ed Matthews with the Real Estate Underground podcast. Today is a really cool and different podcast because we're actually recording two podcasts at once with my friends at Bucks and Brews. Dave and Nick, welcome to the show, and thank you for joining me. And why don't you do your intro, and then we'll get cooking.
Well, thank you for having us, and welcome back to Bucks and Brews. Nick, what are you drinking?
Oh, I'm drinking Right Brain CEO Stout here at 1 o'clock in the afternoon because I'm the responsible adult out of the group.
Yes, you are. Me, I just have water today because I have to go coach high schoolers, and I don't need that on my breath.
And I'm a seltzer guy because I too have a softball game to go watch. And my wife tends to look at me funny when I show up with beer breath. So
Funny how that happens, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
Thank you so much for having us on. I'm really looking forward to this episode.
Yeah, so it's an interesting mix because, you know, Nick, you and I are real estate guys, right? And obviously we both have other holdings. But Dave, you tend to focus on stocks and ETFs and bonds, I assume. And
I do.
Yeah. So why don't we start there? I don't know squat about crypto, so we're going to avoid that.
Yep.
But the fact is that from a stock market perspective, what drew you to that asset class as opposed to real estate or something else?
So I've always loved money. I'll just say it that way. I've loved money.
Like money.
And I was always good at finding ways to make more money. And, it got to the point where when I had enough to start investing, I'm like, screw it, I'm just going to start doing this, and decided to go back and finish my finance degree. So I've always been smart. I just didn't like school.
Yeah.
But when you pay for it, you tend to pay attention.
Yes.
So graduated with high honors. That taught me a lot of investment options. And then Nick and I love to talk about investments, because we put our hands into a lot of things. I mean, he does a lot of real estate, but he also has a lot of other investments as well.
Yeah.
And at this point, I was paying for my daughter's college. So she was saving all of her money. So she amassed a decent amount of money, and I started investing for her so that, she could retire early. And I got my hands on everything. I use some of the newer apps that are out there like Stash and Acorns and Public. I invest in peer-to-peer lending with Prosper.
Yep. So how does that work?
So you have to fund at least $25 to whatever loan you decide to fund.
Uh-huh.
And they will give you the details of the person. So they'll give you what they do for a living, how much money they make in a year, how many delinquencies they have, a credit score, a FICO credit score, and then a Prosper type credit score where they have different options for rating.
Yeah.
And then you just figure out if you want to invest in that particular loan. I always look at what do they do for a living, how much do they make in a year, how many delinquencies that they had. I really don't care what their credit score looks like. If I feel they have the money to pay this back, I have no problem throwing money into that loan. And I mean, it's a 3 to 5 year loan. Some people pay it off sooner, so you don't make quite as much, but interest rates range anywhere from 5 to 30%. So, I mean, it's a pretty good return on investment as long as they don't default.
So I'm curious about the performing numbers. Do you have any insight into how many, what percentage of those loans actually perform?
I don't. I only know what I've dealt with, and I probably funded, I'd say in the last 3-4 years, I funded anywhere from 5 to 20 in any given year.
Yep.
Most of them paid off early. So my returns, obviously aren't as good as a 10% return over 5 years if it's paying off in a year.
Right.
But I mean, it's still, a lot of times outproducing the market, especially, the last 18 months or so, the market's been down.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, it's interesting because, a lot of real estate guys, I know also invest in notes, and, Prosper's kind of a backdoor way of doing that. Right.
Mhm.
And so, and the other thing that's interesting that kind of popped into my head when you were talking about vetting the folks that are borrowing money from you, it's a similar process to how, guys like me and Nick evaluate tenants and prospective residents. Right.
Mhm.
The fact is that I don't really care about a FICO score. I do, but there's so many people out there who have been dinged up because they had to take their child to the emergency room, and they got whacked by the credit agencies that way. But they make their car payment every month. They make their insurance payment every month. They were paying rent on time, but they have a 580 score because the local hospital jacked them up. And so, there's a lot of that out there, right?
Well, yeah. Nick and I talk about that all the time, because when people are like, well, I have all this medical debt, he goes, yeah, I don't care. Do you care about medical debt?
Nope. That's usually one of the biggest criteria I tell people. Like, yeah, as a landlord, we have to have set criteria. But what do you look at when you look for debts? Well, I mean, if you have college and you have medical, it doesn't bother me because I assume everybody has that.
Right.
Like, granted, I don't, but like, I just assume that that's what's going to be out there. And the things I look for are the things that you listed, Ed. Plus, I look for consumers energy for us, DTE. So your utilities, right? Yeah. If you can't pay your housing bills, then I'm not renting you my house.
Right. And so I look for big things, right? I look for a clear criminal credit, a criminal background, right? And I don't care about the fist fight you got into when you're 18 years old. I care about the liquor store you knocked off last month, or last year, right? And so, there's a lot that guys like us can be flexible on, because the fact is that it's real, right? Life is real, and stuff happens, especially when you're young. It's a miracle that I graduated from college without any major felonies on my record. Just mainly because of all the dumb stuff I did. I just didn't. But I'm here to tell you, and thank God the iPhones didn't exist back in the 90s when I was in college, because that would have been a problem.
Yeah.
But the fact is that these are, like, Nick, I think you and I rent to very similar types of folks. They're good, hardworking people, right? They crank a wrench for a living to fix your car. They pour your coffee in the morning at the local diner. They check you out at Target or Walmart, and they probably have each of those individuals probably have two other jobs you don't even know about, right? So, the fact is that our focus here at Clark Street is to we buy crappy apartment buildings from landlords who aren't really good at their jobs, and we make those buildings clean and safe, and then we upgrade them so that folks can be proud to live there, and we hopefully live there for years. That's the idea, right? Because turnover is expensive.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. A motivated seller just filled out your web form. If you call back within 5 minutes, you're nearly 4 times more likely to get that seller appointment. But delay your follow-up by even just 10 minutes? Forget it. You're toast. Ella Vista Connect calls that lead back in 60 seconds, qualifies them, and schedules your meeting. Find out how much slow follow-up is costing you. Free calculator at ellavista.com/underground.
Yeah. And that's the hardest part of our game is turnover. We're talking, I have an average of 8 years right now. Currently is my average turnover right now. And it's probably higher than that.
Phenomenal.
But, and we talk about it on our podcast all the time. I don't get max rents, right? You're going in and you're renovating everything. I'm more focused on functionality, right? And if it needs to be fixed, right, I always fix everything. But if you have I can't even say it's a yellow toilet. What's the other word for yellow? Almond, right? Yeah. Say if you have an almond toilet and it still works, I'm not changing it out for a white one just because it's time to have a white one. That's not how I function. When it breaks, okay, I'll update it. But really, at the end of the day, to me, it functions. It does its job.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't leak water, it stays.
Yep.
Right.
So, I don't get the highest rent. I don't hit market. I'm just below it, right? Because I want to offer the best quality thing at a very fair price.
Yeah, it's a value exchange, right?
Yep.
Simple. And in all candor, we don't get top rents either. I don't want to, because the fact is that I'm, one of the retention strategies is that they can't find another apartment as nice as the one that they're living in right now for the price that they're paying. So I'm fine at, 90, 95% of market. On the high end, it's usually 85 to 90, right? I'm great with that.
That's perfect, right? Like we have the same strategy in that sense, because I have friends that are we're in Grand Rapids, Michigan, right? And so I have friends that are in the downtown area doing some of the bigger things, and they're like, man, it's great. I get $2,300 or $2,500 a month for rent for my 2-bedroom, and I'm just like, holy crap, like
that's awesome.
But they're going in and they're putting in beautiful tile that cost them $7 a square foot. They're doing all this, and they're like, yeah, but this person's moving out. Yeah, but I'll fill it with this person. I'm like, that's the problem you're going to have, right? I look at it, when you're in the high end market like that, you're also dealing with the same person that leases a car. Okay. Mm-hmm. They want a new something every 2 years, right? 2 to 3 years. And so, hey, gray and white, that's no longer the thing, right? We all, I still use gray and white in all my flips. But,
same.
Oh, hey, I want, the blue cabinets are now a thing, right? These dark blue ones. Oh, I'm going to go into that place because they're willing to just get up and go to the new, better thing. And I don't want that turnover. I don't want to sit here and have to change colors. I don't want to do anything. Again, I'm going to offer agreeable gray on my walls. I'm going to offer bright white on my trim, and it's just going to function.
Yeah. So we're Benjamin Moore paper white on every wall, and a bright white trim, semi-gloss on everything else.
Yep. Saying, and when you can tell you've been doing it a while when you know the colors of your paint, right? Plain and simple. Right. And it was funny because for the longest time I used the antique white because I didn't have to think about a color. It just they sold it in 5-gallon buckets.
Yep.
Everybody's like, well, why do you use this? And I was like, well, it's got a little brownish tint to it. And honestly, I picked up a 5-gallon bucket for $7 on clearance at Walmart, and that's why I have it. And it worked, and I just stuck with it because I don't have to think. In my brain, I'm too stupid. Like, plain and simple, I don't want to think.
Absolutely. And the other part of it is, not only do you not have to think, but your guys who are doing the painting and everything don't have to think either, right? They know, they come into our shop, there's 10 gallons of the exact same paint. They mix it up and they go and they paint the place that needs to be painted. That's it.
Yep.
No thinking.
Sorry to cut you off.
No,
and when you think about that, right? Like I didn't make a mistake, but I'm doing another flip right now. And the house across the street was done with all my original stuff, right? Gray floor, all the same colors. So I kept the walls the same, but I decided, hey, I'm going to do oil rub bronze fixtures instead of my normal brushed nickel, because my guys know, hey, they go to Menards, Walmart, Home Depot, anything. They just look for brushed nickel. They literally grab the exact same 2-pack product. Yeah. They don't call me for these stupid questions.
Right.
Well, I changed things. So now it's me that has to sit here and spend so much time. And then I was like, crap, I got to get these door stops, as stupid as door stops to, I had old window locks or whatever. I put some new windows in. So then I go buy new white things. And I was like, man, I have to sit here and think about all this over again. Where my guys originally, it's just, hey, they know, they just go buy it. That's what it is. You can't go wrong. Plain and simple. And when you don't get asked a million questions every day about, hey, what do you want here? What do you want to do with this? What do you want to do with that? We do the exact same thing.
We do the exact same thing. It's the exact same cabinets, the exact same vanity if it fits. If it doesn't fit, there's the exact same pedestal sink. The exact same luxury vinyl flooring, the exact same paint, the exact same fixtures. At some point, I'm going to get smart and start buying in bulk. I actually don't buy in bulk. I probably should.
Oh, you definitely should. So I bought 500 boxes. So my LVP, we bought 500 boxes of it because it was actually clearanced out. I used it for so many projects, and then all of a sudden it went to like 72 cents a square.
Ooh.
And so I bought it all from every single Lowe's that was out there and got it all shipped to my mom's garage. And, so here I am. And I went through a bunch of flips using it. I finally am on my lap. And now I'm like, crap, I have to go rethink about what LVP I want. And like, how can I find this? So that's my response. Yeah, every 2 years now, I have to go figure out what color I want. But really, I try to use the same one on a constant basis.
I love the stupid shit we get excited about.
Yeah.
So like your locks that you got the other day.
So yeah,
you got so excited. So I know in my house I've upgraded to the keypads for locks.
Yeah, same.
Nick went to Home Depot.
Yeah.
And found a whole bunch of like $100 locks for $20.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, they were 80% off, so I got it for like $22 or something like that.
And literally bought all of them.
Just me with a cart full of locks, and
was so excited about it.
Yeah,
because we get excited about stupid stuff.
When you can save like that, it's awesome. Yep.
Because you didn't spend 20, you saved 80. 50 times.
Yep.
Well, we talk about that all the time because our wives are literally the same person, and we're kind of the same person. And our wives will go shopping at the grocery store, and they'll come home and they'll go, "Look, I saved $200," and we're like, "Yeah, but you spent $150.
Right?
I could have saved you $150. You just didn't buy any of that shit.
Just didn't go at all."
Yeah.
And then he turns around and does the same damn thing, and he's like, "Look at what I saved."
Yeah, it's my first time being able to do that. Yeah. But there's a difference when it's my business versus myself, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, so I spent like 24, almost 25 years in corporate America, and I was selling software and consulting services around procurement and sourcing. So I'm totally wired to, if I can get that thing for 5 cents less, that's a huge win, right? It's just the way I'm wired. So I hear you.
Yeah, we're kind of wired that way. I have to tell this story.
Please.
Nick had a dentist bill. It was $80. And Nick and I are notorious for negotiating these things. So he literally called them. And they're like, "Well, no, we're not going to give you a discount. Pay it, or, just pay it." And he goes, "All right, I'll send you $1 a month until it's paid." And she goes, "What?" He goes, "I'm going to send you $1 a month until it's paid if you won't give me a discount." And she goes, "What are we talking about here?" He goes, "I don't know. I want a discount. Make it less than $80. I'll pay the full thing right now. Otherwise, you're getting $1 a month for 80 months. She came back on the phone a couple minutes later, and she goes, "Will you pay $75?" He goes, "Sure."
Yeah. It's just, and you can see the expression through the phone, just like, "Are you that cheap?" "Yes, I am." Right.
Yeah. Everything is negotiable, guys.
Yeah,
it is.
You clearly understand that. So how do you guys, when you're talking about the different things you're investing in, obviously one, Nick, you had said prior to us hitting record, my bad, that one of the cool things about real estate is leverage, right? Being able to control a $100,000 asset for $3,500, right? Yeah. You can't do that with stock, right? But it's far more liquid, right? So if I need my $3,500 back, I can go sell those shares and go get them, right? And go get that money. So, how do you guys reconcile the two differences in terms of your investing approaches?
I would say when it comes to stocks, we are absolute opposites. And I would say my stock strategy is way more like his real estate strategy. I'm a buy and hold person.
Okay.
I do my research. I decide what I think that's going to be worth. If it gets looking too bad, I'll dump it if I have to. But for the most part, I'm going to hold on to it for years. That's how he is with his real estate.
Yeah, time.
His stocks, on the other hand, he's day traded before. He will hold it for 5 minutes and then get rid of it and then buy it again 3 minutes later.
How does that work?
Exactly like David said.
No. I mean, how does it work well?
It did for me, yes. But the advice that you hear from, and so financially, it worked for me. Okay. And again, this was just, I didn't intend to day trade. So when I first started out, I don't know, I had like $4,000 or something. I was like, I'm just going to try doing some trading. Well, I have really high anxiety, which is surprising, but, so I'm sitting here watching this thing and I was like, oh, all right, I made, I don't even know, like $200. So sell, because I'm comfortable. I'm happy because I see it start going lower. And once you make 200, you don't make money until you sell, right? That's even in real estate. You don't really make money until you sell.
True statement.
Well, everybody says, hey, you make all your money when you buy, but really the money's not actually there. So I would just sell. And then in order to day trade, you have to do 3 or more buy sell transactions in a 24-hour period. And so what I would do is, all right, I buy it, I sell it that time. And then if I got risky, I would buy it again and let it kind of go overnight if I felt comfortable, because it was closed. And I was too stupid. This is how dumb I just got lucky. Okay. But I didn't realize that the market kept trading at night. I just thought once
they had this
it was done. Yeah. So I wake up and I'm like, all right, we're going to start right at noon, and then finally, I was like, man, I'm doing well. So I was like, well, you have to have $25,000 in there. Wow. So I'm talking to my wife and I was like, hey, in order to be a day trader, I have to have $25,000 sitting there. I don't have to actually use it. Can I put $25,000 there and then just spend my $4,000? She's like, fine. Well, conversation next is like, hey, I'm spending $8,000. I'm at 13,000 of my money in there. And, it just kind of kept going. But so back then I was working from 3 a.m. to 1 p.m. every day. And so I was day trading from 9 o'clock till 1 on the company's dime, which I don't work for them anymore. I don't care. And then I used to go home and take a quick little nap and then be up for the, night. I'd sleep for about 2 hours there, or 1 hour there, and then 4 hours at night type thing. Yeah. Well, what I found was I'd go out to dinner with my wife and it wouldn't be eye contact. It'd be, oh crap, what's my stock doing? Right? Like I'm sitting here just constantly. And so did it work? Yes. Financially, I did well. Did I have a life? Not at all. Did I my anxiety wasn't worth it? Oh man, when you're spending 25K or even 10K, your heart's just pumping because it's literally like black or red at this point, right? I do have index funds and stuff that the only time I look at them is right now. We just mentioned it. So I'll hop on and be like, oh, hey, it's going okay. But I have other stuff, but really, I look at it and go, all right, and then I started learning on the company's time while I was there, just researching. You can join chat rooms and you find people that you think they know what they're talking about and does well. I hit one. I was following these guys and, it jumped. I got in at $22. Next thing I know, it jumps to 40, 80, 100 and something dollars. Closes. I was like, holy shit. I just made so much money very, very quickly. Well, that next morning they make an announcement that a company bought 50%. I don't even know if they bought the whole company or what happened. But basically they valued at a $25 stock price. And I was like, holy crap. And so I didn't realize that you could actually sell at night, right? It's just a different call thing. You set it and you have to just get somebody to buy it at that price, specific set. When it's open, they tell you what somebody's willing to buy it at. It's completely different. So it opens and it's literally just plummeting and my heart's just dropping because I was up a couple $100,000. I'm not going to lie about it. But by the time I got to sell, I only ended up up, I don't know, $1,600, right? And here I was up 160,000. I had enough money to walk out of my job that second versus, oh crap, I just made a bonus, right? And I was like, holy shit. And I took screenshots of everything, told my wife, I was like, I don't know what I did wrong. So I was using TD Ameritrade, which gives you the first X amount of months or 500 free trades and this and that for the beginning. And he's like, how do you like it? And I was like, honestly, I was up this and this is what happened. He goes, oh, dude, you could have just done this, said it and said, hey, if it's at 107, if you were okay with selling it for 100, you could have said it here. Somebody would have bought it overnight or something like that. And I was like, shut up. And he goes, yeah, now you know for next time. And I was like, I don't know. If
next time, right.
Right. Next time you're up $100 and something $1,000. But just I tell you, my heart was beating on my chest. So it's a rush to me. I like to have educated rushes, right? Real estate's fun. Flipping still takes time, right? Yeah. But this, it happens in seconds, literally. Yeah. Every second, the stock is going up, down, and you figure out, and you do research, and it's funny because you research companies fully into them. Hey, what's going on in their life? What's happening here? What's doing this? Medical, right? Hey, when COVID was a thing, anybody that owned Johnson & Johnson, right when they got the first thing, boom, that shot up because everybody thought this could be huge. Sure. So, if a company, let's say Nike goes and gets sued and does all this, well, of course they're gonna go down, and that's where you want to buy is the lowest point. Right. Well, you're hoping that they if they win their lawsuit, they go up. If they lose it, then they stay down, might go lower, but eventually Nike's a big company. It'll come back up. So this, you kind of focus on every update. And because we're so naive in this world that we think the world revolves around what we focus on, there's somebody that focuses on every business and everything. And there's a news article that will come out for every business, right?
Yep.
I was in the trucking industry. And so, I mean, somebody's job is literally to be like, hey, Town Air Freight or FedEx got sued by this. Okay, well, FedEx is a great company. Like, I'm going to buy it at the low and then try to go high type of thing. So that's just literally what I spent my day doing.
Yeah.
I did it for about 4 months, made good money, but couldn't do it anymore because my anxiety was too high.
Yeah, well, that's a real thing. I suffer from anxiety myself, so it's one of the reasons why I'm a long-term investor, because I like the the thing I love about real estate is that it's tangible, right? You can go put your hand on it, you can paint it, you can sweep it, you can fix it, and you can make it more valuable, and for that dollar that I'm investing in that crappy apartment building, I'm hopefully getting $4 of overall value that I'll grow to $5, $6, $7, $8 over the course of time for the same amount of debt payment I make, today. We were talking before we started hit record about, adjustable rate mortgages. And, I've done them strategically, but man, they scare the hell out of me. I'd rather put it in a 30-year note and just let it ride. And, if I refi, so be it. But it's, I like the certainty of it. And when I'm putting that dollar down on a property, as opposed to putting that dollar in GE stock and hoping Larry Culp knows what he's doing, the CEO there. And, I don't get leverage from stocks. But B, I also, I feel like I'm betting on someone else's capabilities. Yep. Stock whereas with me, I'm betting on my own capabilities on the real estate side.
Fully agree.
Yeah. So Dave, how do you manage risk? When you look at stocks, I mean, obviously you're doing your research as well, but I'm just curious how you approach it.
I try to diversify myself a whole lot, which is why I have a lot of different tools I use to invest in. Mm-hmm. That way, if Nike takes a shit, I have 8 other stocks that'll, prop that up.
Right.
And like Nick said, I am a huge fan of buying low. So pandemic hit and my daughter had about $30,000 just sitting in a savings account, earning almost nothing. I said, I'm taking 10 grand. She goes, okay. I said, do you even want to know? And she goes, no, I trust you. And I dumped it into, I want to say, about 25 different high dividend paying stocks. Johnson & Johnson was one of them. CVS was another one of them. Sure. Several medical companies. I bought a bunch of ExxonMobil for her. Mm-hmm. At the time, ExxonMobil was probably around $40 a share. And I would assume it's around 80 right now. Yeah. So, I mean, she's probably made $12,000, and some of them didn't hit. I mean, some of them have been, poor investments.
103.
Okay, 103. But what I try to do is put the money in a whole bunch of different places. That way, if something isn't going well, I have something else to prop it up later.
Right.
We're big fans of Betterment. We both have investment accounts with Betterment. We both have Roth IRAs with Betterment. I invest in Fundrise, which does REITs, because I love real estate, but I don't want to deal with anything. I don't fix things. I don't want to have anybody call me. I just want something to make money.
Right. It's mailbox money.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah. I mean, so that's the world I live in, right? Is, from a syndication perspective, someone, an investor, Dave, comes along and says, hey, I got 10 grand or 25 grand or 50 grand or whatever. And we have a project cooking. And then, once that property turns cash flow positive, which usually happens fairly quickly, on a quarterly basis, Dave's getting a check from us. And then at the end of, somewhere in that 3 to 5 year range, we're either selling the property and Dave gets another big check from an equity perspective, and he gets his money back. or we refi out and same thing happens, right? Dave gets a big check and gets his money back, and we continue to manage the property as an asset of ours.
Mhm.
And it depends on the deal, right? It doesn't happen like that all the time, but typically the cleanest way is just to sell the building and part friends and that was great. Let's go do it again, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the mailbox money thing is huge, and even me as an active investor, I'm not pushing a paintbrush. I'm not swinging a hammer. I hire guys who are really much better at it than I am. Right. I mean, yeah. Could I install trim? Could I, install cabinets or, a vanity? Sure. I've done it. Right. I've flipped, dozens and dozens and dozens of homes. But the fact is that I'd rather hire somebody for, a fairly reasonable number to who's going to do it better and faster, which means cheaper.
Yep.
I'm going to do it.
Well, so there's the rule of three, right? So you
Right.
get good quality, you get a fast price or a fast job done, or you get a cheap price, right? So you get to pick two or three, right? And so out of those two, right? So if you want it done quick and cheap, the quality is not going to be great, right? But if you want a great quality and you want it done quick, it's going to cost you a lot of money, right?
Right.
To add on to that, like, it's been quite a while since I've done anything.
You used to quite a bit, though.
I did everything, plain and simple. And then so I retired for a little bit 3 years ago.
Yep.
Gosh, right when COVID. So when I got fired,
Right.
retired, went back to I worked for a property management company because I wanted to know what it's like to manage 450 units. So I went and did that. There's more to that, but anyway. And then October came and I re-retired. And I told myself, I was like, all right, what did I do right last time? What did I do wrong? And what I found out is I have guys willing to work for me. They show up, they're doing good things. They're flipping my houses for me. And yeah, I can go do stuff and I'm there. Like, I always check on my projects, right? I'm constantly there because I believe if you're hands off, you'll never get things done.
Right.
That being said, though, is I realized that I've never had my contract. Well, I've had one contractor bring me a deal, but I'm really good at acquisitions.
Yeah.
And I love doing it. So go out and find the places, go out and be the guy who's getting these guys to work. And while it works, run with it as long as you can and as fast as I can. Right. So that's what I decided to do as much as I tore up some steps like a month ago or 2 months, however long ago on this project. Just because I was like, man, I don't feel like I've gotten anything done, right? I didn't buy a place or whatever.
Yep.
So sometimes you have to get a win, and a win can come as small as, hey, I painted this wall. It's official, like something's done, right? I changed this light fixture. I changed an outlet. I went and tried to change an outlet on this place and the wall was warped and this and that. And I was busy answering phone calls and I was like, F it, my contractor can deal with it. And so that bugged me even more because I feel like I didn't accomplish shit. And so finally, like, tore off the stuff and I was like, great, I've done something, like physically done something, right?
Well, it feeds the caveman in me too, right? It's like, yeah, I changed that switch. All right, yeah. I can go back to my desk now.
Yeah. So,
I do want to hit this.
Yeah.
Tell Ed your first lease ever.
Oh, all right. So
this is one of my favorite stories.
Before we talked on air, Ed, you had said one of the biggest reasons you do this is to give back. It's plain and simple. One of the big reasons Dave and I do this, right? So when I first started real estate, here I am, a young 21-year-old dumbass kid. I owned a 5-bedroom, 2-bathroom house in a very nice part of town, but it was a foreclosure, so the house wasn't great at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I have a small mortgage, whatever. Somebody on Facebook had posted, hey, I'm looking for at least a 4 bedrooms, and I'll just plain and simple numbers. My mortgage was like $600, right? Somebody goes, hey, I'm looking for a 4-bedroom, willing to pay $900. And I knew that at $60,000 at the time, that's a $600 payment. So this is back in 2010. I go find a duplex for $60K. So I reach out to the person. I was like, hey, we're actually going to buy this duplex. If you're serious about renting this house, that'll make me $300. And so she's like, yeah, let's do it. So literally grab a notebook, right? I grabbed a lined piece of paper, and on my kitchen table, I wrote, Nick, will rent this house out, the address, for $900 a month. And we both signed it like a bill of sale, like everything. Right. So I go, and stupid me. So I go get my duplex and I go to closing and they hand me the lease that's in place for the guy downstairs. I had to kick the guy upstairs out. And it's like 5 pages. I was like, I didn't even look at it. Right. I was like, whatever, cool. I got a lease. I don't fucking know what this means. 6 months into my investing career, my wife's grandfather goes, hey, I have a friend that owns some real estate. Would you want to go meet him for breakfast? I'll buy. And her grandfather, saint of a guy. He's like, well, maybe he can teach you something. Maybe you can teach him something. And I'm like, yeah, me teach. Like, I was like, dude, if you've done this for longer than 2 days, you've done more than me.
Right.
So we meet and he goes, all right, let me see your lease. And I hand him this piece of paper and he laughs and this is like a 70-year-old man, right? 80-year-old guy. And he's like, jeez. And he hands me a 6-page document that's a lease, right? And he's like, here, this is a lease. These are called addendums. You're going to need these. And I was like, He goes, let me know when that one blows up in your face. So 3 months later, the tenant goes, hey, I can't afford to live here. It's the winter. The house is too big to heat and all this and that. I didn't run background. I didn't run credit. I didn't ask them for proof of income. I didn't do shit, right? I just took a person's word on Facebook. They can afford to pay this amount of money.
What could possibly go wrong?
Because I didn't because at 21 years and me being
why would you know?
If I told you I'll pay you this amount of money, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that I pay my debt because that's who I am as a person. And that's who I assume everybody is in this world, right? Like,
not so much.
I said, this is my word. This is what I'm going to do. So it blew up. And so my wife and I, as we moved into the duplex to get the 3.5% down. So we moved, I was like, hey, do you want to live here? And now I know a little bit more what I'm doing. We can cash flow over here, or we can just rent this thing out. And she's like, I'd rather go back to our big house because we moved into 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom versus 5 bedrooms.
Yeah.
We didn't, we didn't have kids or anything at the time. But so we moved back to our big house. And my mentor, come to find out, he owned about 680 places by himself at one point. That was his high.
So he was a player.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, a little bit. I've bought a few buildings from him since, but he's fully retired now. Doesn't own a single thing anymore. But back then he's like, hey, if you have any questions or whatever, or when he told me, hey, when this blows up in your face, give me a call. So I was going to rent my place. And so I'd call him. He wouldn't answer, get a call a day later or something like that, And now, I mean, I'll probably do it after this because we're talking. I haven't called him in like a week. But now if he calls or I call, we're both just answering the phone. Nick, well, how's it going? Great, man. And so I wouldn't be successful without other people in this game, right? I didn't know when I bought my first house, which I live in now it's worth $300K, right? It's nothing to brag huge, but I paid $86,500 for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was a foreclosure. Granted, back then it was worth, let's call it $230. I don't care. But I didn't have that kind of money and I had to close in 2 weeks. So I posted on Facebook, hey, I got a deal. I can make, each of us 50 grand. I'd love to buy the house if anybody knows how to help me. Person on Facebook is like, hey, I know a hard money lender. You might want to give him a call. This will help out. So I call my mortgage guy and was like, hey, this. He goes, yeah, I've heard of that. Great. We can start because you're going to move into it. We can start your refi right away after paying a hard money lender. Now finding out what they do. I'm doing all this. I ended up paying $101 for my house. And, so I had $14,000 in fees, but I got into it with $0 down. Right. Plain and simple. But it's just literally just asking people this, asking if when I have a problem, I try to give everybody advice, everything answered. Yeah. But I also get it back from times I have this deal. I just don't know how the heck to do it. That's how I learned about wholesaling the first time. Right. I had a friend of mine who was so adamant about me buying his house. I didn't know the numbers in his area. It's not an area I'm comfortable with. I don't want to be in Grand Rapids, but he's like, no, just throw me an offer. So I did some kind of quick and I was like, well, if I'm going to do it, I'll make this. So I called the hard money people again. This is years later, whatever. And I was like, crap. Hey, I got to do this house. He's like, you don't want to do it? And I was like, no. He goes, I got a guy that wants to borrow some money. Why don't I have him look at it? Go in and I made $35,000 on my first wholesale deal. Right. Cause and so And my buddy was happy because I was like, hey, and I offered it to him. I was like, hey, I got another guy that wants to do it. You'll make 35 more. He goes, nope, handshake's a handshake, agreement's agreement. You pay me what I want. You still buy the steaks and the beer. And I was like, yes, like you just made me 35.
How thick? So, 35 grand. How thick would you like it?
Right. Say, you want to go to Ruth's Chris? Problem was we closed at like noon and Ruth's Chris wasn't open at the time. So we have a small steakhouse around here called Brands. Like the highest steak is maybe $20, right? So beers are $2, right? That's where we ended up going.
So it's awesome.
Yeah. It's like cubes for their sirloins. But so because I ask everything, I'm not afraid to admit that I don't know a dang thing. When I tell you I'm stupid, I really mean it, but I'm smart enough to be willing to learn.
Absolutely.
That's the biggest key with me.
And I tell everybody, I'm like, I'm a cheap date. If you meet me for coffee, I'll even buy the coffee. Right.
Yep.
I'll spend 20, 30 minutes with you. I'll tell you everything you want. I'll tell you everything I know about, flipping, wholesaling, deal flow, capital raise, multifamily, syndication, pick a topic, and I'm happy to do it. It's funny. I used to run the local RIA here, and I made that offer in front of like 200 people one night. And I had 7 people take me up on it over the course of the next month.
That's really good. 7. But I say 7's a lot more than I thought. I really held up 2 because I really thought 2 people.
Yeah. But it's shocking that I wasn't, super busy that whole month, right?
Right. That's what blows my mind. I mean, I have people that hit me up on a constant. And here's what just happened to me. We're getting into a long-winded story.
It's all good.
So we're in a RIA group. Somehow this guy finds us, right? And he has a house for sale in Grand Rapids. And he's like, hey, I got a house. And we go through, there's probably 80 of us there. And I know that most everybody just talks out their ass. They don't actually do things. So microphone comes to me. He had just got on telling everybody, hey, I have a house for sale in Grand Rapids. I want $70,000. Now the median price in Grand Rapids currently is like 180, 170. Wow. I don't know. And I'm like, well, how bad can this place be? It's currently rented. So people like it's livable. And so, I get on the microphone. I was like, nobody talk to him. I'm going to end up buying this thing, pulling this whole big dog string. So a few of us go up to him. There's me, another real player. So I'm the first one to go meet the guy at his house. I give him a small offer. My buddy goes apparently a week later, puts an offer in, and it's the same offer as mine. He called me and he goes, hey, what'd you offer? And I was like, I offered, 65. He goes, me too. He goes, I might go up to 70. I was like, yeah, whatever he comes back with to tell me, I'll probably give it to him, right? I'm going to make money on this dang thing. It's a good deal.
Right.
And he just wouldn't sell. And I've always been a person to fix problems. But he kept going up to this girl that was there, right? And she's a friend of mine, wholesaler, but actually she's flipping now. She's gotten big in her business. She's doing well. And he just kept going up to her, 2 months in a row. Brooke, when are you going to come? She's like, Nick wants it. Nick's already out. And so finally I look at her and I was like, hey, I'll give you $1,000 just to be the woman because he doesn't want to deal with guys apparently. Just go be the woman, go put it under contract for me for 60 and I'll give you $1,000. And she goes, okay, literally meets him, puts it under contract for 60. I paid her the 1,000. I just closed last week. So, right. I saved $4,000 by fixing what whether he doesn't like guys because we're dudes, like he just only wanted to work. I don't care. Right. All that matters in the end of the day is I get the deal. Right. However, I gave him exactly what he wanted. He stood up and said, hey, I want 60, 70K for this. Look, 60 is where I think it's good.
Yep.
Bam. And I gave him, it's not like I ripped him off. I didn't do anything. It just literally had to get the right person to get him to say yes.
Right. So right on. That's awesome. And it's amazing. And, problem solving is such a big part of what we all do. Right.
Yeah.
You solve the problem. I'm always looking for stressed out property owners.
Yeah.
Because, you got to think about it like a golf bag, right? I mean, how many solutions do you have in your bag to be able to whip out and say, hey, yes, I can buy you out of, your tax problem. Yes, I can give you 20 grand down so that you can, do whatever you need to do with that money and take care of it. And yes, I'll pay you, I'll pay off your mortgage over the course of time. If you're paying $500 a month, I'll pay you $750 a month and we'll just, I'll flip it. And when we sell it, then, you get to pay everything off. I mean, there's any number of ways to creatively solve a problem.
Yeah.
Help somebody out.
I'll say, but the point of that real quick, sorry, was the fact there's 80 people in this room. This guy presented to it.
Yeah, and two, right?
Two of us were actually serious enough to actually go do it. And
right. It's amazing.
This guy thought he had everything because he's like, oh, everybody's talking about it. And I was like, that's the problem. Everybody talks, right?
Right.
And I show action.
It's interesting. You see all these like there's a metric in coaching and training and all that is mind-boggling, and that is that if you get 100 people to buy a coaching program, 95 of them will never open the videos. Never.
That's crazy.
You're spending however much, 40, 50, 200, a couple thousand, several $1,000s.
Yeah.
They will never open it.
That was, we have a huge rental property owners association event here in February every year.
Yep.
And we have these people that come through and they sell their product and stuff like that.
Yep.
Well, for some reason, it's kind of changed this year where everybody's like, oh, money back guarantee, and I'll give you 100. So these people, they were there and they called out, I'll call her name out. Her name's Robin Thompson, right?
Oh, I know Robin.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So she's where I got the idea.
Rehab.
She doesn't do rehabs anymore.
No, it's just short-term rentals.
Short-term rentals, yeah. But so she's where I got the idea to make my whole list of exactly what product number I use. So I was like, She gives great advice.
Me too.
But in front of everybody, right? These people walk up and they go, hey, we haven't made a dime off of your program. And we'd like our refund. And she goes, well, did you come to my house in Florida and actually go through the course? And they're like, no. And she goes, well, you have to do that. And if you could look me in the eyes after that and say, you didn't get any knowledge out of it, then I'll give you your money back. And I was like, you didn't state that. You literally just stated 100% guarantee if we don't make any money, right? Like, I don't, but now knowing 95% won't actually, so they probably didn't even open it. They didn't do anything with it.
Probably not.
But yeah,
they get caught up in the emotion. They buy the product, and then they, the next morning they wake up, they have their cup of coffee, and they're like, yeah, the thrill's gone. I don't even want this. Right.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? I got to spend 30 hours listening to videos to become a millionaire? Because it's hard work. Right. So
one of our big wins before Bucks and Brews started, Nick wanted to do real estate episodes. So we're like, hey, we'll go through how to buy a house. And friends of mine, TJ and Danny, wanted to learn how to buy a house. So they hopped on the Zoom. And Nick goes, hey, grab your pens and paper. I'm going to give you a whole lot of knowledge right now. You're going to buy a house. And I mean, he would message me and go, this will never happen. They're not going to do anything I tell them to do, but I'm going to give them such great knowledge. So TJ's like, well, I mean, we just re-signed our lease last month. So, I mean, we're stuck here for 11 months. And Nick goes, no, I can get you out of that. Well, what do you mean? He goes, no, we'll just write it into the deal that the seller has to pay your exit fee for whatever rental you're in. And he's like, you can do that? He goes, you do anything you want. They don't have to agree to it. So literally these people took everything we said in that episode. It was probably 2 hours long.
Yeah.
And in 6 weeks bought a house and got out of their lease.
Awesome.
And he was so happy because
it still brings goosebumps.
He told me that night, even after we got off the episode, he's like, they're never going to do anything because I tell people things and they just don't do shit. And we were getting text messages the next morning with houses. What do you think of this house? What do you think of that house? And Nick and I are like, holy shit, they're actually doing things.
Wow.
Yeah. And it literally was right. Cause everything on the podcast, it was like, yeah, but I have this. Yeah, but I have that. And yeah, but this. And I was like, no, yeah, but right. Like you want it. I have two really big philosophies I live in my life, right? Like if you want it bad enough, you're going to do what it takes to get there.
Damn right. And
also if you don't like something, do something about it. Right. Plain and simple. If you don't like what you have in life, do something about it. And so there's, if you're bitching about your job and how much it sucks, right? If you don't like it, go do something about it because nobody else is going to put those resumes out there. Nobody else is going to do anything.
Right.
And so and really like looking back at that episode and even thinking about it, like the tips that I gave so much were just huge to me. Like worth thousands, millions of dollars in some of this stuff. Because they're like, they live in, so again, they're outside of Grand Rapids. So they actually live in a rural development area so they can get an RD loan and things weren't selling as much. And I was like, yeah, you're going to get cheaper down payment because they're like, we don't have this much to put down. And I was like, you're an RD loan. Like this is, this is the areas you're looking in. go and everything. Like it's like they re-listened to it and took step by step and like did this, that, bam. And it just all added. And I was like, they're like, yeah, but we're not going to have the money to fix it up. And I was like, get a carpet allowance. Like, I don't care. Like, if it's listed at 60, go pay them 70, ask them for 10K back. Okay.
Right.
Like, they're like, you can do that. And I was like, hell yes, you can. And then some, right? Like, you're going to get everything you want and not have to pay for it, except for over a 30-year loan. All you're doing is asking for 30-year financing on it versus doing it today.
That's it. Yeah. It's amazing what you can get when you ask for it.
Yep. And
do. Right.
One of my favorite episodes.
I know it is because they did everything you said to do.
Yeah.
And they went and bought a house.
And they're happy as shit about it.
They are. They're so happy they have their house.
Yep.
That's wonderful. That's one of those warm your soul kind of stories, right?
It's what made us definitely keep going with this, like, because we knew it was working.
Yeah. So let's talk about keep going, right? So you have Bucks and Brews, right? Mm-hmm. And now I know that you're expanding this to for kids, and there's an international version coming out. So why don't you tell us all about that stuff?
So we have, for the kids, we have Pops and Pennies, which we push that more on YouTube, but we also do put it out as a podcast. We try to keep those to 10 minutes in length because we're trying to keep, the attention span of younger
12-year-old, right?
Yeah. And we have several dedicated listeners to that. They'll watch with their parents and they'll send us questions, or have their parents send us questions and ideas for shows. Like one of my coworkers, her son watches, and he wanted to know how stores buy merchandise without having to hand money over for all of that merchandise. So we took that on and did that episode.
Investing, we teach a 3-jar system, which my 7-year-old absolutely hates. She thinks that having to save 50% of her money is, and I quote, "This is so stupid. I do it because you want me to."
You're welcome.
Right.
Exactly. That's my response every time. I'm like, "Yep, you're welcome." And she's like, "No, I'm not welcome. This is dumb. I want this stupid toy that I'll never play with." And I'm like, "Yeah, like you'll thank me later. You'll hate me right now, and I'm fine with that. But years from now, you're gonna go, Dad, you might actually be kind of smart."
Yeah. Right? I mean, when you're living in a condo, when you're 21 and you're living in a condo and all your friends are renting or sleeping on your couch, they'll turn back and go, "Oh, thank God I did that."
Yeah.
We teach the 3-jar system. We're working on creating our own to be able to sell or give out type of a thing. We're doing so much. I mean, on a constant.
We do a lot of things, especially merch wise, because we love our logo, so we want to plaster that everywhere.
Right.
It's awesome.
My daughter goes to school with the Pops and Pennies cup. And then we internationally traveled on a cruise and all that, which of course I didn't bring my Bucks and Brew shirt because that's who I am as a person.
Or any of your merch.
Anything in life. But we created pesos and cervezas.
Yes.
So every time we go out of the country, we bring the podcasting stuff to record a fun episode with people that we meet, do anything like that. And then in a year or two,
I'm taking a trip to the UK with my best friend, and he actually joins us quite a bit on the show to either talk or listen. And we're going to do pounds and porters.
Yeah. So
fantastic.
One of the big things with dividend stock, it was funny because David started investing in dividend stocks, and that's one thing that hit Mike, our buddy Benson. And he's like, all of a sudden you just see it kind of click. And he's like, yeah. And so he goes DoorDashes.
Yeah, he was doing DoorDash to make extra money to invest in dividend stocks.
He goes specifically for dividend stock. Yeah. And we're like, man, even the people that are closest to us, like even when because David and I invest so different, which is hilarious because it's funny because like his long-term investments are way over here and mine are real estate, tangible asset. But we both have, a core, right? We both have 4 Roth IRAs or 401ks or whatever the heck it could be. And then just mixes in between, but like we are really opposites. David, he's about pennies, right? Just very much of and
if I see a penny, I'm picking it up, Nick's kicking it down the road.
Yeah, usually like I still throw my beer cans away, right? Like, and David gives me so much crap because even here I'll just go throw them in the trash. And he's
like, a nickel.
It's a dime for us
here. Yeah, I'm in Michigan. It's a nickel here in Connecticut.
But right, so to me, it's the idea is just not worth it. I'm not at that point in my life. And I just look for the big, my focus is on the big deal, on the big game. So, but yeah, we're really excited about expanding our stuff, getting into more logos, because we just do. We love our logos. So,
well, yeah. So congratulations on all your success. If folks want to hear about you and get to know you guys, what's the best way to do that?
So you can find us on bucksandbrews.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter,
Stitcher, Apple.
Yeah, we're on all the podcasting
Amazon
services. The biggest deal, if you're looking us up, is Bucks and Brews. The S's are with $signs.
Yep.
Nick says that to everybody because sometimes you can't find us if you don't have those $signs.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you want to reach out to us personally, go on to Bucks or go on to Facebook. Really,
Yep.
You'll message and say, "Hey, I want to pick Nick or David's brain," depending on where you want your investment stuff to be. And then we'll probably end up private messaging you from our own personal stuff, because we're not huge yet and we don't pay people to do all of our stuff. We're still doing the dirty work.
Well, and we do guest centric episodes quite a bit. We've had people come on to talk about their debt, and we give them ideas on how to get out of it. And then we'll do an update with them to see how their debt journey is going.
Mm-hmm.
We've had young people on, and we give them an idea of, this is what you want to do for, the next 3, 4, 5 years of work in investments.
Mm-hmm.
So, it can be a big thing. It can be a small thing. We'll take on anything because we like helping people.
Yeah. Well, and in a lot of cases, it's a lot of little things, right?
Yeah.
That add up. Compounding is a real thing. So, so we are wrapping up it for your audience. If you want to get a hold of me, I'm at the Real Estate Underground, and again, I'm on Apple and Spotify and Stitcher and Google Play and anywhere else you can get your podcast. You can also find me on pretty much any social media platform at Clark ST Capital, and we're at clarkst.com, clarkstreet.com on the website. And if you want to reach me directly, hit me up on any of those, and I'm ed at clarkst.com. You send me an email and I'll answer you.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I have a feeling we're going to do this again.
Yeah. It's like, I want to dive into.
Well, we already done it twice. So
yeah, absolutely.
I want to dive into your whole business. I love where you're headed. So
yeah, well, I'd love that. That would be great. Tell me when. I'll be there.
Great.
Sounds great.
We'll send you some dates.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll make sure I don't have a softball game afterwards, so I'll drink with you.
So
same.
As always, to everybody listening, like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell your family. We really appreciate you guys listening to us and everything that we can do for you.
Yeah, and if you're a Bucks and Brews listener, please go also listen to Real Estate Underground and vice versa, because we're doing good stuff, both of us, and we want everybody to hear it.
Absolutely. And to my Real Estate Undergrounders, same thing. These guys, you're going to get the real deal. They've got a tremendous catalog of shows, and they bring real world experience and from a lot of different investing classes. So if you're interested in the stock market, or you're interested in real estate, or you're interested in something else, pretty good chance there's an episode on Bucks and Brews to talk about that. So guys, thank you very much. Thank
you for having us, Ed.
And
thank you.
I appreciate it. This has been the Real Estate Underground podcast, a Clark Street Capital presentation. Thanks for joining us. If you're enjoying the show, please remember to subscribe and share it with your friends. If you'd like to learn more about Clark Street Capital and our upcoming projects, please join our investor club at clarkst.com/join. Until next time, happy investing.
This has been the Real Estate Underground. Don't forget to subscribe. It helps us grow. Until next time, Undergrounders, remember your real estate journey begins with a simple step forward. Now get to it. Bye for now.